Hey, curling fans, welcome to Curling Nation Season 2, Episode 5, WTF with Chelsea Carey. I'm Joel Dietz.
I'm Mike McDermid. This week we're also joined by Craig Brown and Chelsea Carey.
Today with Chelsea and Craig, we talk about some team shakeups that happened over the weekend. It was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, maybe one team shakeup in general.
One team shakeup that was kind of a surprise, but then we also get into Canadian trials, team dynamics, sex toys, a little bit of strategy, some mixed doubles.
It's a real mixed bag today.
It's what don't we talk about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Chelsea. So it's a good time. No, you sign off first, Craig. No, you sign off.
No, you sign off.
No, you sign off.
Hang up.
You hang up.
You didn't hang up.
You didn't hang up either.
You said you were going to hang up. You said you were going to hang up. Okay, bye. I tried to hang up that time. Didn't work.
You missed it.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, we're here with the one and only Chelsea Carey. Chelsea, what's going on?
Not a whole lot. How about you guys?
We're doing great.
Oh, curling, doing a podcast.
Curling, yeah, doing a podcast.
Having a drink.
Greg had to stay home today. Unfortunately, he's not in the studio.
Wife's out of town working, so I am on day 5 of 6
Whoa.
solo parenting duty.
Whoa. Thoughts and prayers, buddy. Thoughts and prayers.
I am down. I'm not fully defeated, but I am I'm out there.
Do they have liquor delivery in Wisconsin? Because I feel like someone should send Craig some alcohol,
I got enough of that just across the room, but
more couldn't hurt though, right? I can't imagine. I don't have kids, but I wouldn't want to be solo parenting for 6 days.
It's hard, I feel it makes me realize how much work my wife and other people's significant others have to do for the curlers that are on the road all the time, or used to be in my case. Yeah. Anywho,
so
let's stop talking about my pity party over here and start talking about some fun stuff.
Some real curling.
All right, what should we get into first? Botcher or sex toys, or
yeah, the botcher thing.
There's so many things to talk about. Maybe there's botcher. Maybe we can combine the two.
Botcher and sex toys. I don't know.
I don't know botcher well enough to do that. Maybe you guys do.
Not enough zingers. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, that went over like a lead balloon, I think.
Yeah.
I did listen to the Inside Curling podcast, and they kind of had both sides of the story. It seemed like Darren wanted to get out sooner. But it certainly didn't play out on Twitter very well. Or
I did find his comment humorous that he said he thought he was going to get fired after every weekend for 4 years.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's not a good spot to be in on a team, I wouldn't think.
No.
Chelsea, what do you think of the whole Brendan Botcher team catastrophe from the weekend?
I mean, I was surprised. I don't think that anyone would be surprised that happened at the end of the season.
Right.
But that happened before the Brier, I think, was surprising for most people, myself included, and from my understanding, Darren included.
A little.
I don't know. Here's the thing is from the outsider's perspective is one thing, but I've also been on teams where things have happened and whatever. And you never understand what's going on a team as an outsider. So it's hard to judge. It's hard to make, big sweeping statements about this person was wrong and this person was right. I don't think you can do that.
Sure.
That being said, I think that it's pretty harsh to cut a guy before his Team Canada Brier in his hometown.
Yes.
That I struggle with a little bit because it's he was part of it here in the spot, and it would be a little different if say it was a year where you were going into the trials. So like something has happened, you win the Briar and you go to Worlds, and then in the off season or whatever, something has happened where you realize that this person is not going to go to trials with you. Then to say, okay, for this Briar, we need to bring our new person because we need as much time with them as we can get, blah, blah, blah. I could understand it a little bit more then. I don't really understand it in this case because this Briar, like I shouldn't say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't have any implications for anything really other than going to Worlds. Like it's the end of the cycle. So everybody's going to change anyway. So I don't know. I'm surprised that it happened when it did. I'm not surprised that it happened. I'm just surprised at the timing.
Yeah, because they can go into so their team Canada, they don't have to play down anywhere, but they kind of have to wait until teams get knocked out to find anybody, unless they pull somebody.
Well, they have to be finding somebody to go to the Briar. I don't think they're waiting. I think the invites are probably out now, but that's speculation on my part.
I mean, I can't. Yeah, I don't know how the residency rules work, but I can't believe that you'd be able to like play down in like say Ontario if it's or you know wherever, you know, somebody from Epping doesn't get out of his province, or you know, some Jacobs doesn't get out of their province. It's like, oh hey, you know, you want to come and play with us? It's like, well no, you've declared. I don't know how that would work.
No, but they'd be the import though, because all three of the other guys live in Alberta. And when you're Team Canada, I'm not even sure that matters. But even if it did, all three of them live in Alberta. So you could have an import anyway. I don't think that matters at all. But I just would be surprised if they were waiting to see. I think that they would target who they want and go after them. But that's just what I would do in their situation. Yeah. I'm not sure I'd ever be in their situation, but if I was, that would be what I would do, I guess, is the best way I can put that.
I think it's going to be, it would have been a much easier sell if the whole weekend would have gone much smoother. You know, if it wouldn't have blown up kind of in Botcher's face. But now if somebody wants to join this team, like, are they going to get painted as a bad guy? Because I think that Darren clearly won the social media public opinion war.
1,000% they're going to, whether they are a bad guy or not. My biggest issue with the whole situation, them doing what they did is one thing, but for them to go to say that Darren is taking time away from the game for personal reasons when he did not say a word of that and didn't let him know that that's what they were saying, that's the like, if you just delete that sentence from the press release, I don't think we have a problem. And I don't think that Darren would have gone to the media the way he has. And it's just, to me, it's wild that they took it upon themselves to comment on what Darren is planning to do without Darren weighing in on it at all. Like, that's really, to me, the part that's offensive.
Yeah, I think that there's a disconnect there with I'm not sure who wrote it, but the team, the three of them, you know, somebody there wrote it. And
well, no, they probably didn't. They have a social media, like all the top teams have a social media person.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I'm not certain that somebody wrote it. I don't think it's fair to say that somebody on the team wrote that. They may have, but you can't assume that.
Okay.
Fair.
So, but they needed to have more people look at that.
Yeah, that's the part that shocks me. Like, doing it is one thing and fine, and you know, you have your opinions, but that's not fair to comment on because, like I said, none of us know what goes on a team. But at least don't comment on what the guy, like, so now people think he's not going to curl when that was never his intention to not curl. He wants to curl. He intends to curl. So that's the part that I have a problem with. Doing what they did, you know, seems like a jerk move or whatever, but who knows what went on there. So I can't comment on that part. But to comment on what he's going to do, that part I cannot understand. I just don't see a logical explanation or justification to do that to him.
Yeah, and I listened to the podcast Inside Curling, both with Darren and with Brendan, and Brendan didn't really explain a whole lot.
No, he said they did it to open doors for both of them, and I don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
But he also basically said that he regrets it, which is what sort of.
Which to me means he regrets the fallout, not actually what he said. He regrets the fallout from.
Well, I think they regret the lack of clarity. Like, I mean, obviously they in theory intended something else. I just don't really understand. Like, there's nothing in my head that can justify what the intention was. I just don't understand what the intention could have been to comment on what Darren was going to do in the future without Darren telling them what he was going to do in the future.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. It went over like a lead balloon.
So
Yeah.
I did not listen to, I'm going to confess, I did not have time in my solo parenting adventure of the week to listen to the other podcasts, but from what I've seen on the old Twitter, they laid into my boy Donnie Bartlett a fair amount. Darren seemed to, and
Darren did, yeah.
I like Darren. I get along with him great. I get along with Donnie great. I don't know Brendan, but like, do you guys have any comments on that? If you listened to it,
Darren did kind of lean into Donnie a bit much. To kind of summarize it, Donnie, in Darren's mind, Donnie enabled Brendan's, I guess, control over the team.
Yeah. It seemed like Don and Brendan were on the same page. And so if you talk to one, it was like if you talk to either one, you were talking to Brendan, because Donnie just kind of echoed whatever Brendan said. So, and it seemed like that didn't jive with Darren. So,
and we love Donnie, so I don't.
Yeah, I like Don a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah,
he's back here somewhere. There
he sent me this. Yeah,
right there.
He's back here.
Handsome. All right.
I don't know about handsome, but he's a good dancer.
Yeah, he is a good dancer. I'll give you that. In other news,
all right. Yeah, let's talk about something else.
The controversy du jour is the sponsorship at the mixed doubles
sex
event.
Toys.
Sex toys, Ravage, Mar mixed doubles media coverage.
Who had if anybody had Darren getting kicked off and sex toys on their curling bingo card this year.
I think it's hilarious that I guess whatever. They paid money, just like let it go.
NBC pulled coverage, at least here in the US.
Yeah.
Because easytoys.com.
Yeah, Easy Toys.
Easytoys.com.
I don't know if it's .com, but whatever. Yeah.
Yes, I saw
.com?
the.
It is .com.
I saw a game today on the World Curling stream, and that's right in the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are a Dutch sex toy company.
I'm
adult pleasure store.
Yeah,
I guess is.
I don't know. I'm just here for the Matt Gamboa tweets this week. He changed.
He's lighting it up.
He's lighting
it up right now.
I'll just read a couple World Curling tweets out. The tension is rising.
Hang on, what's his handle on there? Is it curling? Is it curling?
Oh, let's see.
LA.
Curling
in LA.
Curling in LA.
Curling in LA.
So he retweets the World Curling. The tension is rising, and Matt tweets, "Can't wait for the epic climax." Then he says, "Today, due to the current global Amazon Web Services outages, we're experiencing technical problems with our stream tonight. Matt suggests just make the switch to OnlyFans already." I mean, hopefully OnlyFans wasn't down. I mean, he's just got them all,
There was ones in there about hitting the crotch.
Yeah, I'll read that one.
The crotch and squirt or something.
Yeah, it says, what is this type of double called? And then I want to say double crotch. So Matt says crotch double, and if the shooter goes through, it's a crotch and squirt. Which, I mean, that's one of my favorite shots in curling. So anyway, I'm here for his tweets this week. It's been humorous. Steph LeDrew also suggested that there's not enough money in curling, so just let the sex toys company go already.
I agree. So I do have a question though. Who, like, did they sponsor? Like, did the WCF approve this sponsor, or is it just like a local organizing committee approve the sponsor? Or did they both?
Some of the news that I read, the local organizing committee notified the WCF of the sponsor, so it didn't go somewhere. So whether or not the WCF didn't tell NBC, I don't know.
I'm gonna guess it was a local organizer, and they're just taking all the money that they can get.
And I don't know this. It's just like I heard it from a person who heard it from a person at Curling Canada that they just said like you sell a local sponsorship, which is normal at an event like that.
Yeah.
And then and I don't know if they were notified after or whatever, but so they went and sold it to this sex toys company, and then it was in the ice and stuff, and then they went like, we can't put that on, we can't stream that, we can't put it on TV. And so then it went in there. But my question would be like, when you say, okay, go sell a local sponsor, do you not have some guidelines in place? Like, is there not some sort of document to say like, you can sell to these types of companies, you cannot sell to these ones, like not, whatever, sex toys and marijuana and like bounty.
Like not like one person during the whole vetting process, they're like,
documentation.
What is this one? Oh yeah, that's just a sex toys company. Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, like, next item.
Yeah.
Somebody should have made note of that and brought it up for further discussion.
Like to me, there was a step missed somewhere for it to be sold to them, and then to have it interrupt the broadcast rights. Like there's silly. Clearly a major step missed in that process.
I told my 75-year-old dad today that, because he said, "Oh, I saw that curling was supposed to be on," and then I turned the channel and it wasn't on. I said, "Oh yeah, there's they can't show it on TV because one of the main sponsors is a sex toy store." And I thought he was gonna lose it. I thought he was gonna just lose his shit. He was laughing so hard.
Nice.
It was fantastic.
That's awesome. Speaking of the mixed doubles.
Wait, so
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's not like the logo out there is like a big giant sex toy. Like,
no,
it's just the cursive scripted name.
Yeah.
So
I think it's.
And did it get pulled down everywhere or just NBC?
I have no idea.
No, it got pulled. Like I can't watch it.
Oh,
like,
actually,
curling TV doesn't not.
It's up on.
Wasn't showing it at the start. I haven't checked.
It's up on Recast.
Yeah.
It's on this Recast site. If you go to the WCF page and click a bunch of links, I found it.
Recast is a streaming partner of the WCF. So
don't go to WCF's like YouTube page. Go to their
it's on
like their homepage.
worldcurling.org.
Yeah.
And find links.
Yeah. But speaking of the mixed doubles, Chris and Vicky are doing well. They're 5-0. They qualified for the playoffs.
Go Team USA.
Yeah. We have to go because we stink at mixed doubles. Chelsea, I know you guys aren't familiar with that up there in Canada. Your mixed doubles teams fared better. So unfortunately we did not at the last. So we had to. But you guys had to play Brazil this year, so there's that.
Yeah, because you got the auto birth. That's the only reason we had to play Brazil. Calm down over there.
Let's not muddle up the podcast.
Oh, actually, though, I believe that Team USA finished ahead of Team Canada in the men's worlds last year.
It's also
true. Oh, they did. Yeah, you're right.
That is true.
But we can just blame Darren for that, I guess.
Brownie, you're discounting your women medaling, and the Canadian women finishing 6th.
Boom. Two in a row.
Let's clear up.
USA.
USA.
USA. There. But whatever.
Facts.
The mixed doubles, like that's gonna be done for 3 days before this comes out. So let's just say congratulations to
winners.
Yeah. Good job, Brownie.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, what's your deal with mixed doubles? You are playing with Colin.
I am.
Trying to get a final berth into the Canadian trials?
Correct. We actually got a bit screwed by COVID. Colin took a year off because he was of doubles because he was hurt. And he like playing men's was a pretty intensive schedule, but it was the 3rd year of the cycle. So we thought not a big deal. Like we're already ranked so high. Then when he'll come back for the 4th year, we'll play and it'll be fine. We do well in a few events. We'll be into like, we've never been ranked outside the top, I think I mean, I'm going to say 10 conservatively in the world, but I think it was top 5 when we played all the time. So we got a bit screwed by that. And then then last year we were going to play, but then COVID shut everything down. So we didn't get to play. So now we have no points because we took the wrong year off. And now it's been 2 years off, not by our own design. So yeah, we have to work a little harder for the spot than we hoped, but we're headed to Brantford tomorrow morning and hopefully can sneak our way in there and see what we can do at trials if we manage to get there.
How many teams come out of the event you'll be at?
There's
2
teams coming out. How many teams?
Well, potentially 2, but you have to finish top 4.
Okay.
So they won't, if people don't finish, if enough people that don't have a spot don't finish top 4, they'll give them back to points.
Got it.
So are you in a situation?
So say the top 4 teams in this event already have spots, then there will be no spots given out at this event. They'll go back to mixed doubles points, and that's how they'll give out the spots.
So do you have
people that are in are playing in it?
Are allowed to play in it? Yeah, there's a few teams that are in that are playing in it.
Huh. That's fun.
Are you in a position where you have to be top 4, or are you in a position where, in theory, the points thing would help you?
It depends. I haven't looked at the points recently. I think we'd be close, but it's not a guarantee that we'd get in on points by any stretch of the imagination, because I also didn't play women's last year, so I had no points from that. So in any, again, it was just a perfect storm of bad things, because any other year we would have been in for fun. But here we are trying to get the last chance spot. So that is what it is. I mean, we did it to ourselves in some ways, but COVID also didn't help us.
Sure.
Got it. You filled in for Fleury, though, at the Scotties. You don't get points for that? That doesn't.
The points were suspended last year.
Got it.
But even if they weren't, I wouldn't have gotten points for it because it's not my team.
Because it's not your team.
So I still would have gotten no points. Even if points weren't suspended, I'm a spare, so I don't count.
Okay. Got it.
So, where are you currently residing? You living in Calgary?
I do live in Calgary, yeah.
Okay.
Sort of.
I like Calgary.
How often are you there?
Well, I mean, I never live at my house in a curling season. It doesn't matter where I reside. I'm never there during curling, so that doesn't really matter whether it's Calgary or Winnipeg or wherever else. It's not any different any year. That during the season, you're never home, regardless of where you say home is, quote unquote home.
Fair. I believe I saw that your women's team qualified for the Saskatchewan Scotties. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, Saskatchewan Provincials.
Provincials. Sorry.
No, it is called the Scotties, but people get confused because there's provincial Scotties and national Scotties.
National Scotties. Got it.
Where is the Saskatchewan Scotties being held this year?
Assiniboia.
I've heard of that, but I do not know where that is.
Do
you know where it is?
I looked it up. I didn't know where it was. I had to look it up. That's a fairly small, I've been through a lot of small town Saskatchewan, but mostly between Winnipeg and Regina, because I've driven that a million times, or between Regina and Calgary, because I've also driven that a million times. It's a little off the highway from, I think it's an hour and a half or so or 2 hours maybe from Regina, based on what I looked at, but that was a while ago, so I could be completely making that up. I don't know.
I can't even spell it close enough for Google to find it.
SSINIBOIA, I think.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's a good job. Yeah, let's not pay attention to your.
All right. Speaking of Assiniboia and Assiniboine, that makes me think of Winnipeg curling clubs. What curling club did you curl out of when you lived in Winnipeg?
I grew up at the Granite. My dad was a lifetime member at the Granite, but when I was playing out of Manitoba, I mostly curled out of the Fort Rouge.
Now, do you think the Fort Rouge has the best pizza of all of the curling clubs? Because I know that
by far it has one.
They like to brag up their pizza.
It's one of the best pizzas in town.
Okay.
Never mind curling. It has easily the best pizza of any curling club I've ever been to. It has one of the best pizzas in Winnipeg as a whole.
Okay.
Wow.
I had it. It was good. I didn't, and I'm not sure that I have a very broad scope of Winnipeg pizza, but it seems like it was fine. I also played there, and the ice was we swept a draw that long time was 30.15 to like the back four, which is a little quicker than I think.
When I played there, it wasn't that fast, but it was just really good ice that's why we all played there for a while, because they had the best ice in town.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you're talking, hog to stop, it was 24 seconds ish, 24 and a half. And it was middle 12 to the button. Like, it was arena ice basically.
Yeah.
I've not been there in a number of years, but that's why we all played there for the longest time. But now I think most of the teams that are playing out of a Winnipeg club are playing out of the Granite, or else they're playing out of a rural club like a Morris, or Mike's team I think is out of West St. Paul. Trace Fleury's out of East St. Paul.
West St. Paul is my favorite club.
Little old, what is it, 4 Sheets I think?
Yeah.
Last time. It's been a while since I've been to West St. Paul, but
love it up there. You walk out and you look and you can see Regina out the back door, I think.
Pretty much, yeah. The skyline's in the distance because it's just all prairie until
okay, sorry to go, we can talk more Winnipeg if you want, but I just got off track a little bit there.
Well, I hate to bring this up, but I got some questions about the final and the trials. At the end, the 8th end, the game was tied, and Jones plays the hit for the blank rather than taking one, and then so I think conventional wisdom would be take one, give one, have the hammer in the 10th, but she blanked it, and then you guys played a really good 9th end. So my thought would be, if she blanked the 8th, wouldn't she also want to blank the 9th to have the hammer in 10?
Yeah, unless you get 2 and 9.
Unless you get 2 and 9.
Right. That's where.
Yeah,
that's an analytics one where it's like somebody that's huge into analytics would probably be like, oh no, you have to do this there because then you have this statistical benefit. And I think you can get too carried away in that, and you're that
forget about the flow of the game.
Competitive game to go to the Olympics. It's just like, Jennifer Jones has played 8 bazillion games. She's just gonna be like, this is what I want to do. I don't care what the statistics say. Just like, this is what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I haven't played.
I don't think I would take one. Like, to me, unless you're forced to one, you don't take one.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I would have taken one.
So I don't see how you, like, if they haven't made you take one, you don't take one.
Sure.
If you get 1 in 9, you're still statistically better off 1 up without than you are 1 down with. So that's not a horrible position. If you blank 9, it's great. If you get 2 and 9, it's great. So there's not a lot of bad situations. And even if you give up a steal of 1, it's only like I haven't checked it recently, but it's maybe 60-40 at worst, like at the most extreme.
Got it.
So even if you give up a steal of 1, you're not that bad off. I would have blanked it. I liked the blank.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the blank. The 1's okay.
Sure.
I think that giving up a steal is the worst situation there.
It is statistically the worst situation, and my personal opinion is that it's the worst situation. Like, as long as I have a shot for 1, I'm pretty comfortable. I'll play something for 2 if it means giving up the steal, because if you get 2, the numbers go crazy in your favor versus if you only get 1, and the numbers don't go down that much if you have the steal. But for sure, that's the worst case scenario.
So do you prefer being, I know statistically the team that's 1 up without is a favorite to win that game. Are you more comfortable being 1 up without or 1 down with?
I've always been more comfortable being one up without, even before five rock. Like it's just what has always worked for my teams personally. And I guess I played it in four rock the same way I do in five rock, which is basically playing for a steal. And if it turns into a force, then great. You just hope it doesn't turn into a 4. But like 2 and 4, who cares? Like 2 and 8, there's no difference.
Yeah.
So to me, you go like not hard for the steal, but early you set up for the steal. You go full top 4, and then you guard it, and you hope they don't make a double peel, basically.
Word.
I agree.
All right, cool. I just didn't know why she played that, so that makes sense.
It's a fair question.
Like there is an argument.
She was there even. Like she's as good a person to have on the show to ask that question too as anybody else.
I figured she would have a great answer.
Yeah.
Well, the concept, if you can for sure force in 9, Joel, you're right. So if you take the 1 and then you force in 9, then you're you're in a great spot. But what if you give up a 2 and 9? Then now statistically you have less chance of winning the game. So if you blank an 8 and you keep the hammer, you have the control a little bit more over 10 in theory than you do the other way. Because if you don't force, now you put yourself in a negative win percentage situation, right? Like if you give up 2 and 9. Now you're not the favorite in 10, where if you have the hammer in 9, it's hard for you to not be the favorite in 10, unless you have a steal, which like you can play the whole end to not do that, and you should give yourself a shot for 1 and you'll be okay.
Exactly.
It's always nice to have the hammer just in case. Like
exactly.
The whole freaking end could go to shit, and at least you got the last rock to try and dig yourself out of it.
So you can play the whole 9th end for a deuce as long as you don't go crazy enough that you're going to give up a steal. Then if you don't get the deuce, fine, I'll draw full, whatever it is, full 4 for 1 and be 1 up coming home without, which is statistically the better position. So it gives you more options, where if you give the hammer up, then if you don't force, anything but a force is bad for you. So then you get into a bit of a tougher spot.
So, all right, on a different non-statistical analytical part, let's go to the completely opposite spectrum of analytics and stats. How freaking much of an emotional roller coaster was that last 25 minutes of that game?
The whole game was an emotional roller coaster. I was dying.
I was dying.
I was dying watching it.
I was
watching it too. I was just watching it from the bench.
Oh my God.
It's not like I could do anything. I was sitting on the bench watching it.
I don't know that I'd ever seen in all the curling games I've watched in my life. I'm not sure I've quite seen those like peaks and valleys so quickly flip back and forth. I don't know what to say other than that.
It was something. It was an emotional roller coaster. It was like there was 2 or 3 times during the game when I was certain we were losing, and there was 2 or 3 times during the game where I was certain we were winning, and just exactly that. Like, well, we're gonna win. Oh, we're never gonna win. Oh yeah, we are again. No, we're back. Like it just was all.
I had that feeling. I had that feeling like twice on the last shot of the game. Like,
so did I.
Yeah.
When she put the broom down, I thought you are not going to win.
There's no way we're winning this game. And then when she let it go, I was like, hey, we might win right now.
Did she dump that hard, or just okay?
Yeah, she just came over the top of it.
Yeah, you could tell by the way she was practically screaming before she had it out of her hand.
Well, Caitlin was screaming before she even let it go.
Yeah. But
they actually almost saved it. I was surprised it was as close as it was, to be honest.
Yeah.
You got some good sweepers on that team, so they almost saved it. But yeah, she just stopped. Like it was a bit of a conservative, like, okay, it's an open hit. Like you don't want to flare it too much, kind of a throw is what it looked like to me from the bench. Like I have no idea of what she was thinking, obviously, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah. I thought the last shot of the game too, though. Like when she put the broom down, I didn't think it was enough ice. And then when she threw it and they said, like, good hack, I was like, all right, she's got plenty of weight. I think they're going to be able to hold this and get it by. And then there wasn't like immediate panic to sweep, and then all of a sudden it was just gone.
They swept it and then they got off it for a second. And I think if they hadn't got off it, they had a chance. But I also understand, like, as the line caller, you're thinking there's no possible way you're going to throw that light. Like, you're probably always going to be heavy on a shot to win the trials because, like, adrenaline and all the things. So I understand the idea to say, like, whoa, for a second.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the bench saying, like, hard, like, just go, just sweep it, because I think the way to make that was to sweep it to the hog line and then get off it. It's going to finish there. We knew that it had done it all game. So just pound it and you can carve it at the end if you need to. But that's so easy to say from an outsider perspective. Like, of course I know everything. I haven't missed a shot from the bench yet. That's the best part on the bench, is you can't possibly miss from there. So, you know, it is what it is.
I've missed a lot of shots from my couch.
Yeah.
Watching all this. So.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you
miss shots from everywhere, Joel.
I do. Yeah, I do.
I mean, you don't want to be.
It's part of my charm.
You don't want to be the third who sits there and tells them to pound it, and then you tick it. You know, you don't make the shot because you swept it too much. You know,
yeah,
I made that sweep call a bazillion times. It's like, oh, we're over sweeping it, and the second you come off, it grabs and goes, and you're like, oh no.
Well, but that's the thing, is as a third, you can't, like, either way, you're gonna not love yourself. Like,
right.
Okay, if I tell them to sweep it the whole way and we miss it high, then I'm an idiot. And if I get them off it and then we tick the guard, then I'm an idiot. Like, there's just no, and I don't think in that moment you think that part.
No.
I just think if it was me in the house, when she let it go and it was close and we swept it a little early, then I would want to say, whoa, for a second, just in case, like, it's a little heavy maybe, because if anything in that situation, whatever, like, I could just see that being the thing that was in my head.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, it was, if anything, it was a tiny bit light, but it was close. Like, it was pretty much bang on the weight they wanted.
Yeah.
So then, but you assume that I would assume, if it was me, that it was a little bit heavy as the thrower and as the line caller. Like, I would assume even if I threw it, so if it felt good to me, I would assume it was a little bit heavy, because you just have so much adrenaline in that situation that what feels good to you is probably 3 feet more than you think it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, you want to be conservative with the line call. So I don't think they did anything wrong. It just unfortunately didn't work out.
How did they and you don't have to answer this, but like how'd they handle it? How was the post game?
How can you not be devastated? They handled it exactly how I handled it in 2017 when I lost that exact same game in that exact same way.
Yeah.
Going undefeated and then losing the final. I mean, there's not much worse feeling than that. But they're a great team that way, and that they're very supportive of each other, and they're very, like, light, and they did a pretty good job of it. But they're devastated. Of course they're devastated. Sure. If you're not devastated, then why do you bother curling? Like, if you're not devastated when you lose the Olympic trials final, then what are you here for? Like, why do you bother trying to go to the Olympics?
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I realized after the fact that sounded like an oversimplification. As somebody who has also been in that same situation of losing
I
trials
didn't take
finals.
it that way from you at all. I just that's what it is. I mean, you're always going to be devastated. You know that. I know that, because we've been through it, right?
Yeah. It's not great.
No, it's not great. I can confirm that 2 times in a row is not any better. The second time is not any better than the first time.
Yeah, I had 2 runner-ups in a row, but one of them wasn't a final. It was just a round robin that we finished second in, so that one didn't hurt quite as bad.
That one's a bit different. Yeah, that whole setup's a bit different.
No. So, anywho, let's think of something more cheery to talk about.
How's your 4-person team doing? You have a new 4-person team this year.
I do, yeah. We're going to Saskatchewan Provincials, so that's a win.
Yeah.
I hear that's in Assiniboia this year.
It's Assiniboia, which is approximately 2 hours north of Regina, I think we determined. That's fine. Jolene Campbell.
It's going to be cold.
Stephanie Schmidt.
Yep.
And I don't know your lead. I'm sorry.
Well, we actually have 5-person team. So Jen Armstrong and then Rachel Erickson.
Okay.
So we have a bit of a rotation happening with with the front end, but I also had to miss 2 events. So then they, like Joe skipped, and they had they had Rach in at third, and so we've had a number of iterations of the team, but
sweet.
Yeah, that's the group.
Got
so
it.
5-person team, do you have it set where on which games who's playing what, or is it going to be more of a feel?
We usually decide it before the event starts. So we'll say, so and so's playing this game, this game, and this game. Then in the playoffs, this is the lineup for this one and this one and this one, sort of thing.
Sure.
But it's all of our first time doing a 5-person situation, so we're like learning as we go a little bit.
Do you think that's
How's
the
it
future?
working?
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it?
It's harder, but I do think it's the future. So to answer both questions at the same time, I do think it's the future because the schedule is just getting so out of control, busy, that this, and especially when you add in mixed doubles, and people having to do that, right. This makes it so much sense to me. It's hard to manage right now because none of us are used to it. We're all used to your 4-person team and that's it. But then how do you plan your season if somebody can't go to this event? You just don't go. Well, but at some point you need to, do we need this for points? Do we need this for whatever? Then Jen's doing it. Jen Jones is doing it, right. And doing it very well. Yeah. And I think you're going to see it a lot just because the schedule is so crazy that it's going to become, I think, the norm.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a big demand. If that turns into the case, I think there's going to be a big demand for really good seconds and thirds.
I agree, because you want your alternate person is not a skip. Like, you need someone who can step into skip if they need to, but I think you need a person that can go into any position.
Yeah.
So that's going to be important.
Yeah. It also probably helps develop more players then too, right? You got more players playing more often at a higher level.
One, it gives people a chance. Like that's so Rachel Erickson, who's our like we call it flex player.
Okay.
She is just out of junior. She won a world junior with Mackenzie Zacharias last year. And so it's a good opportunity for her in the sense that like she gets to play a bunch of different positions on a team that, like, this is going to sound arrogant of me, but on a team that has a name and like maybe gets into some stuff, that it gives her the chance to kind of learn that from, and not just me, but from like a bunch of players that have won a bunch of stuff. Like my whole team has like really awesome resumes, including her, but hers is in junior. So like to come into a women's team and get to do that and learn from these people and play with these people. Like, I just think that there's so many upsides to it. I think there's upsides for all 5 people, regardless of their situation. It gives flexibility. It gives a learning opportunity, so you can mix and match like ages and experience and all that stuff. And you can bring somebody in who, like, you see, like Rachel is so talented. She's like insanely talented. She's going to be so good at curling. She already is so good at curling.
Nice.
But it gives you a jump. Like you get to kickstart your women's career by doing something like that. So yes, it's hard to not play all the time, but at the same time, you're in that kind of situation. And I don't know, I think it's great. And I do think you're going to see it a lot moving forward just because of the demands that are already on us, and they're only getting more aggressive.
Nice, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with that development part. Like, it's going to help certain people a ton. Like, because a 21-year-old kid, they might be fantastic shooters, but like the amount of things that they still haven't seen or felt when they're on the ice compared to somebody who's been around, like it just speeds up their learning curve so much.
Totally. Like, we used to call it paying your dues. Well, and that was like, you just got your ass kicked a lot by other teams because you were on a team with all young people, and you just went and got your ass handed to you by experienced teams. So this way you can get what would have taken you 5 or 10 years to do by doing that, by learning it the hard way, like, school of hard knocks kind of a mentality. You can do it in a year or two and get to the same place because you're on a team that's going to win some things. You can learn some things from your teammates instead of having to learn it with your teammates while you're getting your ass kicked.
Right.
So with the schedules being crazy with some players playing mixed doubles as well as men's and women's. The schedules are going to be crazy playing both. Has anybody talked about just playing mixed doubles, or is
John Morris
because
John Morris did it for a few years and then got recruited by Cooey.
He always gets roped back in.
Yeah, he always comes back in.
He does always get roped back in. I don't blame him. I mean, I get it. I think you're definitely going to see it. I think it's probably. I mean, it already exists. There are people that play exclusively mixed doubles,
right,
and don't play men's and women's. But I think what you're going to see eventually is top players picking one or the other, versus trying to do both. But right now, you have 2 opportunities to get to the Olympics. You're capable of doing both, so we're doing both.
Yeah.
But I think at some point you're going to see that start to shift where people pick a specialty, sort of.
Yeah.
Like track, like
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's too much. You have so few opportunities to represent your country at the Olympics. Why wouldn't you try?
Well, right, but you're assuming
to give yourself the most number of chances.
By saying that, though, you're assuming that they're going to continue to have a limited mixed double schedule, which they won't. The only reason that the mixed double schedule is what it is right now is to allow the top men's and women's players to play mixed doubles. So eventually it's going to divide. It just, I don't see any way that it isn't, because you won't be able to do both. Right now you can, but eventually you won't be able to. So then you're going to have to choose.
Do you think Curling Canada wants it that way? That they want people to choose and be more specialized?
I do, but they know that they can't right now. I think that they want really good players to be mixed double specialists and really good players to be men's and women's specialists. Sure. Right now they're aware that they can't have that. They want the men's and women's players to also play doubles because they're best curlers.
Right.
So they want you to be able to do both, but they also are aware that it's way too much. Like the men's and women's schedule alone is too much. Never mind add mixed doubles to it.
Yeah.
So they for sure want you to be able to be a specialist, but they want their best players to be able to pick one or the other, not to have to do both, or to have to say, okay, we're excluding all our best men's and women's players and then we're going with mixed doubles people.
Yeah. Got it.
That I also don't agree with people that never play doubles just getting spots. Two people that happen to be good at men's and women's curling, like Carey Anderson picks up Brad Jacobs. Guy's never played a fucking doubles event in his life. And they get a spot into trials. So I think that it's important to get your top men's and women's teams, like players, to play doubles. But I think they should have to play doubles before they get into a national championship for doubles. Like that's a joke.
Yeah.
That they're getting automatic buys. So
do you like the current rules for mixed doubles, or would you make a change?
What do you mean by that?
Do you like the rules? Like is
the gameplay rules or
the game? Like is that your ideal version of mixed doubles curling with the current rules? Or like I'll let you stew on it for a second and say that I think that, and I haven't seen it in execution, but I think the game would be better if they didn't put a rock in the house and they put up a center guard and a corner guard at every end, and they changed it from 5 rocks per team to 6 rocks per team. I think it would bring more variation to the ends. I think right now every end, obviously this is a little bit of an oversimplification, but basically every end is the same. Make that freeze to start, or else if they do make that freeze, the other team better make their first shot good, or you're in deep trouble, And so I just feel like that so much is dictated that way that there's not, in my opinion, there's not as much strategy to make things interesting. Where if you took rocks out of the house and there was potential to go out to the wings, strategy would become a bigger part of it.
Okay, but so I don't disagree with you at all in theory. I hadn't actually ever thought about it that way, so that's interesting to me. My first thought though is, so if you put a center guard and a corner guard, so the team without hammer is obviously going around the center. Then say the team with hammer goes around the corner, then now you're playing as if you're 3 down as the team with the hammer, because they're going around it again. And now you got to deal with, and you can't hit anything in the house. Like now you got to deal with the fact that they've got 2 rocks in the top of the 4-foot around buried. So I don't really know how that's better. I don't think it would, put it this way. I don't think the team with the hammer is going around the corner guard ever. I think they're playing the freeze anyway, because they have to. They have to mitigate the damage in the middle.
Maybe, that if that ends up being the case, then maybe like there are hits allowed if the rocks are in the house.
But they're still sitting too buried in theory, so you still can't. They're buried. Sure. So I just don't know that it would change it. I get what you're trying to do, and I agree with you. It's a race to the middle, and it's all about angles. Basically, it's not really about strategy. It's about trying to make the perfect angle. But I'm not sure how you take that away if you're going to have a center guard placed, because regardless of whether or not there's a corner guard, I think as the team with the hammer, I'm still freezing to when they go around it, I'm still freezing to it. The same way that I would in 4-person curling.
What if you put the hammer team's rock as the guard and you put it closer to the house, maybe?
That'd be different
than the corner guard.
Right. So then now now you've got to run back on your own rock.
Or a split.
Makes more sense to me, or a split or something. Yeah, that I could get on board with, because that would change it. I think if you put the rock, and then so you assume that the team without the hammer's rock is on the center line, the team with the hammer's rock is a corner guard, the way it would be in 4-person curling, I don't think it changes anything. You're throwing a freeze anyways. Sure. But if you switch it, then maybe there's something there. Maybe there's a run back or a split, like a tick, basically both of them into the house. Mm-hmm. That makes more sense to me if we're trying to shake it up. That I can get on board with. I don't really I get it in theory, putting a corner guard up, but it's never going to get used.
Sure. No, I get it. I would like to just see it tried, like
throwing a corner in 5-rock roll.
Yeah.
Throw it up and then you never use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a map for all that.
I don't. Yeah. I think I blacked out for a couple minutes there.
Yeah. My bad.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Well, we wish you luck in the qualifier this weekend. We hope to see you at the trials for the event. But before we kick you off the show,
which club are you curling at this weekend? Brantford or Brant Country Club?
There's the Brantford Golf and Country Club and the Brant Club.
Okay. Have you been to these clubs before?
Yeah, there used to be a men's and women's event in Brantford. It actually had a 3rd club involved. Yeah. So I played at both of them, plus the Paris, which is not involved in this one.
Paris. I've been to Paris a few times. You don't want to get when that you used to have that spiel, you didn't want to end up in Paris.
No, it was the worst one. I remember that too. I only played it a couple times, but I'm glad it's not involved.
Plus, if you were over in Paris, you knew you were in the B or the C, probably a little earlier than you wanted to be.
Usually, yeah.
Nice. Maybe your first game was there, but then if you won, you usually got out of Paris.
Yeah, typically, yeah.
Brownie, I love it.
So don't forget that at the curling club, for years anyways, it was faster going one way than the other.
Brant is slower coming home, if I recall.
Don't forget that when you were there in 2 days.
I did think of that.
Nice.
Okay. Good. I'm glad I could.
I enjoy it when you get into story time, Brownie. That's always one of my favorite things. Before we kick you off, we got some questions that we always ask at the end of the show to all of our gracious guests. This one I think it's a softball, but we'll ask it for you anyway because I know the answer. How did you start curling?
It's a softball for me for sure. Yeah. My dad is a Canadian champion. My uncle's Canadian champion. I grew up at the curling club. I always say I didn't have a choice, but I've got a sister and I think 12 cousins on that side of the family that all don't curl. So apparently I did have a choice, but I didn't think I did. So here we are.
Really.
Who's your uncle that was a Canadian champion?
Bill Carey. He played with Barry Fry in '79.
Okay. Oh, the Snake. R.I.P.
Snake, yeah.
R.I.P. Rest in peace. Anyway, so I mean this one might be tough. Other than your home club, what's your favorite club? Where's your favorite place to play? Now, I don't even know what do you consider your home club?
Well, that's the part that's
Or
hard.
how many home clubs do you have? Would you
Yeah,
say?
you can't be any club that you have once considered your home club. So.
Well, but I would actually, I mean, Fort Rouge was my home club at the time, but I would say that the two that I consider my real home clubs are the Glencoe that I play out of now.
Yeah.
Or that I practice at now, and the Granite Winnipeg, where I grew up, to the point where the waitresses would let me print my name on the line on my dad's tab to sign for my chicken fingers and fries.
Nice.
But
that's a callback. I remember that she liked the curling at the Granite, so that's in the business they call that a callback. Yeah.
The coolest club I've ever played at, and we didn't even play a game there, but I practiced there, was in Lausanne, Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
And it's on the 3rd floor of the marina. So you've got the lake on one side, there's a casino town in France on the other side, and it's just like mountains on both sides. And it's the whole, on the end sheet, I think it's only 4 sheets, on the end sheet is all just a wall of windows. So you just overlook the lake and the mountains on the other side. It is like next, I never thought a curling club could be like that. It was wild. It was so cool. So that was probably the neatest one I've ever been to.
That was a super crazy neat club. That club has been brought up once or twice before in this conversation, not necessarily as the top choice, but as definitely an interesting choice.
Nice.
Go ahead, Mike.
Do you have a favorite?
What?
You go, Craig.
What's your favorite bonspiel, and why?
I mean, House of Hearts, obviously.
Excellent choice.
What's the correct answer? Second favorite.
Yeah, my favorite non-charity event. I mean, there's a lot of them, but the Players Championship in Toronto is so cool because we get to play at the old Maple Leaf Gardens, which is still it used to be 3 stories, and they used to obviously have all 3 of them filled with fans, but now the main floor is like a Loblaws and stuff, and the second floor is Ryerson college gym and things. The top floor is still the curling rink, but it has the original roof and everything. And I'm just a huge hockey fan. So the first time I walked in there, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. You feel like you're back in the day with the Maple Leaf, with the original 6 sort of matchups and stuff. It's just so good. And downtown Toronto is also awesome. So we stay right downtown and all these restaurants and stuff. That's probably my favorite one.
So setting aside money and championships and all that, what's the best thing you've won?
Or weirdest?
Or weirdest?
The weirdest is probably the opportunity to, I won a little crest and the opportunity to wear a lampshade when I won the Deranger event in House of Hearts. But I also, I won an electric knife at one point. Nice. And at that point I didn't win it for myself. I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18, and it was all household items, and I was clearly living with my parents, so we won the event. And it was a pick-up prize, so you just walk up and there's a whole table full of stuff. So my mom was there watching, and I was just like, Mom, go pick whatever you want, because I don't So she picked the electric knife, and she still has it. She still uses it to this day.
Yes.
So I've got a bunch of uncles that use electric knives for filleting fish. I thought you were going to say that somebody asked you to get it so they could fillet.
I've never seen it used to fillet a fish.
That's carved turkey, right? Carved turkey, carve a ham. Yeah.
Yeah, for us it's like Christmas, so in the turkey and whatever.
Yeah. All right.
Electric knife. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
What's a skill or talent that you have outside of curling that the world should know about?
I was between 2 on this one. I was a competitive dancer until I was 20. So I have all kinds of random skills like drop splits and pirouettes and things. Ooh. But I also am and I don't know why, I've never known why, but it's a thing in my family where we're like a bit of a sort of a savant situation with song lyrics. And people laugh at me because I know all the lyrics to all the songs, and I don't know. And they'll be like, "Oh, you love this song?" I'm like, "No, I hate this song." But I just know I still don't know the words.
I heard
if it's on the radio, and I don't even listen to the radio usually. I listen to my own, but I can't help it. It's just, I just end up knowing the words.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
Barney, go.
What helped you along the way in becoming a better curler? There's so many different things you could probably answer, but trying to think of an original one. Because I'm sure you've got one out there.
He made me a better curler because he was a really good curler, and I was super spoiled and lucky to have access to somebody that's won everything to teach me. But I would actually suggest that the thing that made me a better curler more than anything else is that I played all the sports. So I'm a big believer in multi-sport. I'm not a big believer in early specialization or picking, like just play everything, because you become an athlete then versus just a curler, just a hockey player or a volleyball, whatever it is, gymnast. Play everything. And so my being a dancer made me a better curler. My playing soccer made, like, it's just, they all correlate. Just play sports, just play all sports. So, and my parents were huge believers in that. So we just were registered in everything. And then we could pick from there what we liked and didn't like, but we played everything at one point in time. Well, and I think that multi-sport for me would be the biggest thing I would say made me a good curler, because I got to be a pretty good athlete.
What was your second best sport then?
Well, dance, if we're talking, dance. I don't know if that counts as a sport, but that's the one I was the most competitive at besides that. But I played soccer. I swam. I speed swam for years. I did. We did everything.
Did everything. Got it.
Did it all. Sweet. All right. That's a good answer too. So the next question is, what advice would you give curlers looking to improve their game? Let's assume that we're not going to go with the do all these sports.
Well, I mean, I would say that, but like for me, curling is it's a skill sport. It's like golf, so it's repetition. Like if you want to get good at curling, go curl, go practice. Throw draws, and I would suggest draws would be the biggest thing. I would, like, for me, hitting was always an easier thing than drawing, and maybe that's not the case for everybody, but all I did, so I don't throw hits at practice very often because I can do that like I'm good at that part. Don't practice the thing you're good at, practice the thing that you're not as good at. Like, pick your weakness and make it better, and just go throw a million rocks. And also don't just go throw them for the sake of throwing them. Pick, like, have a goal, have a, something in mind, use whatever tools you have available to you. So I would suggest cones and all these things, but worst case scenario, by myself, I do this all the time. So I'll throw, 16 or 32 rocks, and going up, I'll throw everything down the center line, because you know what that gives you? A great read on, or a great read on your release, like how much set or how much hook or whatever. Like throw 8 in turns and 8 out turns, but I go in turn, out turn, in turn, out turn. So you don't get to throw the same shot twice in a row, because you don't get to do that very often in a real game. And then you know how much you've set it, or because they should all be in a line at the end of that. And if they're not, then this one was maybe a little bit of a hook and that one was more of a set, or like it gives you a good read. And the center line to me is a very underutilized tool in curling. But yeah, use whatever tools you have available to you. Cones, speed traps, coaches, whatever, but just go throw rocks. Basically, like, it's not complicated. Just go practice.
I like it.
All right, you're going to a bonspiel. Who are you bringing along? Like, alive, dead, so celebrity, non-celebrity.
We've also allowed people to bring more than a standard 4-person team because
fifth player.
So let's start with them bringing all three of you guys.
Bartender.
Yes. Yeah, excluding all three of us. Yeah, yes. Of course.
I think it's hard to even include curlers in that, because it's so open-ended that how do you not pick people that aren't curlers?
Right.
I'm for sure taking Vernon Davis, because that's one of my favorite stories of all time. He's definitely coming.
Okay. I like it.
That's an easy one. I think you have to take an athlete another professional athlete that hasn't curled really, but like just would be cool to see them curl.
Right.
I think I might take 2 different hockey players, especially if I get to bring more than 4 people.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm taking Wayne Gretzky, obviously.
Yep.
Like Canadian icon.
You're Canadian.
Canadian icon.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the great one.
DJ's father-in-law.
Yes, also that. But I would suggest I don't care about that part.
Yeah,
really.
no, yeah, that's fine.
But like I could sit here naming people forever as far as who I would take, but I'm sticking with
Vernon
Davis,
Davis, Wayne Gretzky.
But I probably also need another curler if we're gonna win anything.
Just go to a charity spiel, and then
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you win or lose.
Well, yeah,
Winning doesn't matter in a lot of bond spiels.
Like then I'm not even taking myself. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna be the bartender.
You're gonna be the fifth, yeah, or the sixth. Yeah,
on the bed. I just want to hang out with these people.
right.
You're gonna hate this answer, but I can't not say it. It's probably my dad.
No, I knew you were gonna say it. That's
No,
okay.
I'm just kidding.
I said that too. It's all
I
right.
was gonna say it
That's
until,
fair.
like,
Yep.
until just now, it just occurred to
Yeah.
me. So, and he would also
Yeah.
really like to be around Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. That's fair.
Man,
As a
you'd be
four-person team, I think that's what I'm taking.
you'd be number one child though if you got him a bonspiel with Wayne on the team, I'm sure. So
I would
like,
agree. Yeah.
I mean, like Christmas would be
I'm
stacked
already
for
the
you.
favorite child, so I'm not so worried about that. But
All right.
Take one more. Take one more.
La-ti-da.
You
it
can
wouldn't
take,
hurt. It wouldn't hurt my status for sure.
take one more. Can you pick one
So-
more or no?
Oh, I'm sure I can.
Connor McDavid. No.
The best hockey player of all time,
Oh, gross. Oh, don't say
which
it.
I hate.
Don't say
I hate the Oilers,
it.
but
Don't say it.
I really do think that he probably is. No, I actually think I would go a completely different direction than I would go. Tiger Woods.
Oh, there you go.
Mhm.
I like that. I think
His knees all better now.
Somebody else took Tiger. Might have been
Mhm.
Dean Gemmell. Dean Gemmell might
I
have.
think Dean took Dean. Yeah, I think
He
he.
took like Obama and Tiger and somebody else, I think. I don't remember
Yeah.
who he took. We'd have to go back
Well,
and see.
I've known
I like your team a lot better.
I do too. You'd have a pretty good team. All right, last one. You got a walk-up song for curling. You know, coming out on the ice, making a key shot. I don't know, whatever.
I think it's just pregame. Like,
Pregame,
you know, like
yeah.
I don't think it's every
Coming out.
shot.
You're coming out. You're coming out on the ice. Do you have a walk-up song?
You get to choose them at slams, and at the
Oh,
they
that's
used to.
right.
They don't do it anymore, but at the Scotties they used to let you pick one.
Ooh.
So at this 2016 Scotties, our walkout song, and I'm not a country music fan really, but our walkout song was Alberta Bound by Paul Brandt, because we were Team Alberta in Alberta, and that just was perfect.
Okay.
My walkout song usually is Carry On, which is just because makes so much sense. And is so accurate. I think my pregame song personally that I listen to, my two pregame songs are Sail by AWOL Nation and Natural by Imagine Dragons. So
Got it.
I would probably go with one of those, but like none of that is particularly imaginative. That's just what I do
like
with
it. A walkout
that
song
stuff.
is what you want it to be.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
it doesn't have to be imaginative. It's just what's your damn
No,
song.
I like it. I
You
like
And
it.
then
got it.
100%.
Sail is my original pregame song.
Yeah.
And like AWOL Nation and that song, like none of that is what I would normally like. I'm a classic rock
Mhm.
person. Like there's
Mhm.
no one would guess that for me. And I don't know why. I heard it and something struck a chord and like the tempo of it, I think mostly. So pregame, it's like you don't want to get too pumped up, but you don't want to be brought down. Like it just keeps me in a good
Yeah.
whatever level of activation.
I think you were.
It makes no sense for me. The rest of the music I listen to, you would never guess that AWOL Nation was my pregame song. But
I remember listening to that. You were on, I think, the Scotties watch party or something with us, and mentioned that AWOL Nation, and I listened to it, and I'm like, I think I texted you. I'm like, it's like the calm before the storm. Like that.
Yeah,
song,
you did text me
that
that.
song builds. It's like you're ready for business. You mean business when you're listening to that song. So
Yeah, it's
good.
just like,
It's good.
I don't
It's
know.
good.
It's got something to it that just works. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I'll explain it, but as
Yeah.
soon as I heard it, I was like, yep.
One last thing, you got to have some sponsors. Either your 4-person team or you and Haji, Colin Hodson. You got to mention those because, you know, anytime you can, they like that.
They do.
your
I would love to
sponsors?
mention those. So Colin and I have Princess Auto, is our title in Trans Canada Brewing. My 4-person team is Yoder Smokers, Smoker Broker. They're commercial grade barbecue smokers. They're incredible.
They are a very good brand. I'm a big smoker, so yeah, they're.
I know. I was like, Deep will know this.
Yep, they're a very good brand.
Nice.
So they sponsor us. Virtus Group LLP. Original 16 Beer is our newest one. They've just gotten on board recently. Stone's Edge Landscaping, BASF, Maurice Law, Asante Financial, Hardline, Dynasty, and Asham.
Nailed it.
Wow,
Nailed
Baller.
it's a heck of a
Fucking
list.
nailed it.
It's almost like
I
you're.
didn't have a list. That was from memory.
I feel like you just won a NASCAR race with that rundown right there.
There's a lot of them.
I'm thinking the Toyota, Ford, Chevy,
Yeah.
Chrysler, Dodge. Here today, we got it done with the.
No.
That was great. That was great.
Wow.
You nailed it.
That's what you get with a world-class skip. You get the.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get all those in on the post-game interview with Muddy or something. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
perfect. Very good. Appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this weekend, or probably I don't know. It'll probably be done by the time.
Best of luck 2 days ago.
Yeah, best of luck 2 days ago.
On your win.
Congratulations on your win.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
That ice was tricky, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. So bad, but we figured it out. Patience and there's no iron team and all the shit.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
All the buzzwords you're supposed to say. All right.
All right. Stick around for a little bit, Chelsea. But thanks for coming on the show.
All right.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Curling Nation, that's it. Season 2, Episode 5. Thanks again to Chelsea Carey for coming on. We had a great time with her this week. If you want to connect with us, do that. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the show, who you want us to talk to, what you want us to talk about. Nailed that. You can always get in touch with us. Email curlingnation@curlingnetwork.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter @curlingnation. Instagram, we're on that a little @The Curling Nation. Otherwise, watch the show on YouTube. You can also listen on your favorite podcatcher or find us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all the listening things. Otherwise, if you ever wanted to send us a few bucks so we can do something extra fun, find us on Venmo @CurlingNation. So I think that's it. We'll be back in a couple weeks. For myself, Mike McDermid, Joel Dietz, Craig Brown, Chelsea Carey. Good curling, everybody.